last night. And you know why Arizona is so much fun to watch? Because Arizona did something that's very, very hard for successful men. I'll speak for men here. Successful men have a hard time going, ha ha, I made a huge mistake. The reason Arizona is so much fun to watch is because Steve Keim, the general manager, went, I hired Steve Wilkes after a year. It ain't working. And I got Josh Rosen. That's not working. And he just owned it. He just owned it. I talked to him. He just owned it. He's like, hey, Kyler Murray, I'm watching the tape. That's better than what I got. And I'm going to roll the dice with Cliff Kingsbury because the league is changing. And if he doesn't own up to the mistake, it's Josh Rosen, Steve Wilkes. They're 1-15. They're not working. You got to own it. Dallas has to own it. Jerry Jones, Netflix and Amazon don't even resemble the companies they initially were. They don't even resemble it. Why? Oh, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. It's because Reed Hastings, Jeff Bezos, they may have egos, but they're not big enough to get in the way of acknowledging something's not working. Successful people all over America make mistakes. Own it. Mike McCarthy's a bad hire. It's a bad hire. You whiffed. Move on. I mean, Andy Dalton gets crushed yesterday. Not a single Cowboy player goes over and confronts the guy with the cheap shot, John Bostic. I'm not talking about fistfights here, but you got to protect your quarterback. I mean, in the NFL, it's unspoken. Like, if somebody does this to your quarterback, you got to go after Bostic and confront him. The Cowboys are not a team. They're just 55 guys wearing the same shirt. Nobody's there to confront Bostic, say anything. Only one Cowboy went over to help Andy Dalton. And spare me on this whole, Dallas, it'll take time. It's a new system. Oh, baloney. Carolina's got Matt Rule. He's got a new quarterback. He's a college coach. He'd never been an NFL coach. I watched Carolina yesterday. I've watched Carolina 4 times this year. They're competitive. Ron Rivera's battling cancer. Washington's competitive. I mean, I'm watching Stefanski in Cleveland. 5-2. They're more than competitive. This is the same roster. It's the same offensive system. They kept the coordinator, right? Kellen Moore. They kept him. It's the same roster. It's the same players. So you have got to acknowledge if you're Jerry Jones, and I know it's hard, but go look at how much fun Arizona is to watch because the general manager and the owner, and they talked about it last night during the game, just said, hey, we may have made a mistake here. We hired a coordinator, made him a coach. He wasn't ready. And we drafted a college quarterback. He's okay. We'd like to build on him, but oh my gosh, there's this kid on tape in Oklahoma who's way better. You just have to own it. It's okay. Go hire Ryan Day at Ohio State, Urban Meyer, Lincoln Riley. But, Microsoft years ago created a device called Zune. Remember Zune? Most of you don't. It bombed. Okay, Zune was going to replace the iPod, right? You know what Zune is now for Microsoft? Because Bill Gates acknowledged it didn't work. It's a good laugh. It's a write-off. And it doesn't define Microsoft. Because they're like, yeah, we were competing against Apple. And Apple was doing other stuff. And we kind of whiffed on that. Boom, next thing. And that's why Microsoft is back better than ever. Greater earnings than ever. Stock price is up. Although nothing's up today. The point being is it doesn't define them because they moved off it. And Arizona football today is fun and glorious and wild and crazy, and everybody loves it because they owned it. Dallas, own it. Jerry, own it. You whiffed. You hired a guy that was, first of all, he lied to you, said he watched all your games. Second of all, this analytic nonsense, that's not true. Just own it. Otherwise, you're going to be defined by this for half a decade. You're going to be defined by what this is right now. Go back to being fun, progressive, smart. Go to the offensive side of the ball. Go to college like everybody else is doing. Joy of the news.
No.
Turn on the news.
This is the Herdline News.
Well, big news this morning. Odell left yesterday's game early in the first quarter with a left knee injury. Mm-hmm. The Browns feared that it was serious, and Josina Anderson reported this morning, and an MRI confirmed that OBJ has torn his ACL. He will miss the remainder of the season. Obviously he's in a lot of pain here, but I don't want to say it looked like it was an ACL tear, but this is just... This sucks. There's just no other way to put it. It's really disappointing how things are going to end up ending for Odell in Cleveland. Not that I ever thought this was a perfect fit for Odell, but it's just like Odell is such a star and such a electric player to watch. It feels like we haven't been able to see the full potential of Odell in Cleveland that we saw with the Giants when things were going well with Eli.
I'm not sure what the market is anymore. I mean, to be honest with you, he's kind of being defined by injuries now. Like, I understand the market like shrinking up.
Once he's healthy again, someone will sign him. Obviously, I'm assuming that the Browns don't keep him at this point, but that's what's going to end up happening. He just has too much. He has too much potential. We've seen what he's able to do, even with the injuries. It just seems like there's always one more obstacle when it comes to Odell with his body.
And I never thought, if you go look, there's some data out there, we had it this morning, it was never a great fit in Cleveland. Remember, Dak struggled with Dez, young quarterback, big star receiver.
No, we have it. We have Baker with Odell.
If you look at Baker without Odell, where he kind of spreads the ball around like he did at Oklahoma, he's a much better quarterback. I always feel like Dak and Dez didn't work. Instead of demanding Dak throw to Dez, let Dak sprinkle it around and grow. I think Baker would have been better not feeling. And listen, it's not like Odell demanded you throw the ball to him. It's almost unspoken. Star receiver comes to Cleveland. You got to make sure he's happy.
And Odell was similar to Le'Veon in New York. Was great with everything that was put on him in Cleveland. I mean, we didn't think it was a good fit in Cleveland, despite Cleveland screaming and hollering about how wrong we were. But Odell never complains about it. He always bought into the situation there. He always supported Baker and supported the team. Like, there was never a point where I felt like he was the problem in Cleveland.
Oh, no, they have bigger issues. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is really disappointing news. Hopefully Odell gets back healthy and is able to perform again. So the Patriots hit a new low yesterday, 33-6 to the 49ers. Cam Newton had another poor performance, 9 of 15, 98 yards and 3 interceptions. The 27-point loss is the Patriots' largest home loss in the Bill Belichick era. Jimmy G played well enough to win, but the star on the offense was running back Jeff Wilson, who scored 3 touchdowns. Jimmy G was 20 of 25, 277 yards, 2 interceptions. Cam said this morning that he was not surprised that Belichick benched him. He said on WEEI, he said, "I'm a realist." But I think obviously everyone is going to pay attention to how bad the Patriots are and what happened with the Patriots yesterday. We buried the 49ers too soon.
Yeah. Because when Bosa got hurt.
Yes, and that loss to the Dolphins was bad.
Yeah.
And Jimmy G didn't look great the week after.
And you'll watch the Rams tonight. Rams are a bad call from being 5-1. They punched him in the forehead for 4 hours. This is a really good team with exceptional talent. They miss Bosa, and I don't think they're a Super Bowl team because I think Bosa's the icing. He takes you to another level. But they drafted a good defensive lineman. We buried him way too. And if you look at their schedule, Joy, I did today, this morning, they face 6 Seattle, Dallas defenses down the stretch. They're going to win a lot of games. Now,
great coaching and great culture also.
Yeah, and their schedule actually, it looked before the season, you're like, ooh, Seattle and Dallas and the Saints, and you're like, oh, those are bad defense. Buffalo. So they've got a bunch of defenses coming up. They're going to be able to move the football, control the clock, and do that.
Yeah, they're still a good team. I'm with you. I don't think that they're a Super Bowl team this year.
But they're good.
But they're still a good team, yes.